Steve here. Welcome back to Untitled Steve News. Ooh, we got a lineup for you this week here on Untitled Steve News. Tomorrow, I'm going to be power ranking all the Marvel things that are coming out over the next couple of years that were announced by the Disney. Only Disney could be so huge that they could get away with the hashtag Disney Investor Day. It's when they unveil all what they got going on for the next couple of years for prospective investors, and all us nerds start geeking out over that kind of stuff, Star Wars and Marvel stuff. So tomorrow I'm gonna power rank the Marvel stuff, and then the next day I'm gonna power rank the Star Wars stuff, because there's like a ton of stuff that came out regarding Marvel and Star Wars. If there's two things I like in this world, two of them I like a lot of stuff, but Marvel and Star Wars are two of them. Anyways, I figured I would talk about here on the Untitled News Show, which is going to get a brand new title come January 1st. By the way, go to mfshophere.com if you want to buy some of my comic books. I figured I'd talk about a couple of news bits that dropped this past week that were fairly mind-blowing. A decent way to end 2020. With some tying of loose ends from like decades and decades past. First up, we're one step closer to solving who the Zodiac killer is. Maybe, probably not. Chances are they're probably dead by now. But this was kind of crazy. A trio of code breakers from all around the world broke one of the unsolved Zodiac ciphers that was sent to the media 51 years ago. So for those of you who might not know who the Zodiac killer is, you should go out and watch the David Fincher movie Zodiac. It's his best movie, one of my favorite movies ever. I know he did Seven and Fight Club. This is better than both of those. It's a really terrific movie, but basically the Zodiac killer was a murderer back in the late 60s, who murdered a bunch of people, confirmed he killed 5 people, spanning 1968, 1969. Nice. But he claims to have killed up to 37. And what sort of made him stand out was that in at least one of his murders, he wore a mask with like the Zodiac sign on it. And he would send letters to the media and to the police with some of his thoughts, and also some ciphers, which are just, coded messages. And so, as the years and decades have gone on, people have tried to solve these ciphers, because there were 4, I think, altogether, one of which was solved in a couple days by a husband and wife team, I believe, there in the Bay Area. This all happened kind of about an hour or so away from where I live. I am not quite old enough to have a firsthand recollection of these murders. I'm about 10 years too young for that. But yeah, this was a pretty big deal back in the day. People were they were scared to do anything because this guy was on the loose. All right, so one of them that was solved says this. This is the one that was solved 50 years ago. I like killing people because it's so much fun. It's more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal of them all. To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. Ooh, boy, that's pretty dark. This latest one is basically sort of along the same lines. So this was solved by David Oranchak, who's a software developer in Virginia, Jarl van Eyck, a Belgian computer programmer, and Sam Blake, an Australian mathematician. All those brainiacs getting together, solving these old ciphers from the Zodiac killer. Anyway, so he said this. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner, because I now have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise, so they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise death. That was his cipher. So yeah, there's 2 more unsolved ciphers out there, but the problem is these are really short ciphers. There's one that's 32 characters and there's one that's 13 characters. And a lot of people think that the 13 character one might be the Zodiac killer's name. Now, obviously it was never solved who it was. There were numerous suspects, some better sort of suited than others. There's actually a really good podcast if you're interested in this. There's a podcast called Monster, the Zodiac Killer, I think is what it's called. It's actually a really, really terrific podcast. There's a couple different seasons where they spotlight different murderers from back in the day. And yeah, it's good stuff. So that was kind of interesting as a guy who's been sort of semi kind of interested in Zodiac stuff. When I first saw that David Fincher movie, it's a really good movie. You should check it out. Anyways, moving on. This next bit of news comes to you from outer space. Man, I know this is 2020. We got a lot going on. We're heading towards the end of the year. The vaccine's on its way. Trump is getting killed in the courts with all his lawsuits. The Supreme Court said, yeah, we're not even going to hear this last huge one. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for him. So a lot's going on. I get that. But this is kind of crazy. And I know that aliens, typically you think of like crazy people talking about aliens, like that guy with the crazy hair on Ancient Aliens who basically sees aliens in everything, in every aspect of history. I get that, but this is kind of crazy. So in an interview with the Israeli newspaper Yediot Aharonot, which is like I looked it up, they're legit. They're like a leading newspaper in Israel. They have a free press over there. So, this is not like some tabloid or like, I think it's like The Sun over there in England where people are like, yeah, it's not even a real newspaper. So the former head of space security, Haim Eshed, right, gave an interview where he claimed that aliens do exist, which isn't shocking, and that Israel and the United States have long been in contact with them, and that Donald Trump was going to talk about them. He was going to expose them, but the extraterrestrial beings of this Galactic Federation, his words, stopped him from talking about this stuff. He said that the aliens conduct experiments here on Earth and that there is a joint base underground on Mars where they collaborate with American astronauts. They asked, he said, this is his words. Of course, this is translated, but, they asked that we don't publicize they are here because humanity isn't ready. Well, no shit. We're totally not ready. Clearly, we're not ready. This whole planet is a mess. So, yeah, according to this guy, who's not crazy, he is, I think, in his 80s. But to me, that doesn't suggest that he's going to start making shit up. It might suggest that he's like, hey, I don't have a lot of time left on this earth. I'm just going to start talking about the shit that I know, right? So the current chairman of the Israel Space Agency, and this guy, this Eshed guy, former Israeli head of space security, which in itself, it's not like the space agency, it's space security. So I don't even know what that's supposed to entail. But he's got a really good reputation. He's not like a nut job. Like a ton of people are coming out saying, yeah, I don't know why he's saying this stuff, but he's very well respected. So according to Isaac Ben Israel, chairman of the Israel Space Agency currently, Eshed went too far with his claims, which were published in an interview with the Israeli daily Yedioth Aharonot, but his seriousness shouldn't be questioned and his standing as a leader in his field remains intact. Ben Israel says, if I would have chosen one person to be called the father of Israel's space capabilities, it would be Haim Eshed. He told that to the Times of Israel. This I'm getting from the Times of Israel as well. It said, Ben Israel says it has become entirely acceptable over the past decade for serious scientists to believe in aliens as knowledge of space has increased. Is there intelligent life outside Earth? 10 years ago, most scientists believed chances are very low. Now we believe chances are significant, according to Ben Israel. So the current head of Israel's space agency is saying, listen, this guy, he should be respected. He was the man. He was the father of Israel's space efforts, but he probably shouldn't be saying this stuff. But is he saying that because he thinks it should remain hush-hush, or is he saying that he shouldn't be saying this because there's more in the article about him saying that, yeah, he thinks that he interpreted certain data incorrectly. Well, you can either interpret these things one way or the other. This seems like a fairly black and white thing. According to this guy, aliens have a secret base underground on Mars. They're collaborating with scientists. Donald Trump knows about it, and somehow they were able to convince him to keep his mouth shut about it. I do recall earlier this year when the Pentagon declassified some footage that some naval pilots took of UFOs. They declassified it, and some reporter asked Donald Trump at a press conference, unrelated to this. They said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he says, "Well, pretty interesting. If it's real, it's pretty interesting." And he probably just wanted to spill the beans about this Galactic Federation in that very moment. Man, aliens are here, people. And we're not ready for this. They better not reveal themselves in 2021. They better not wait for all this pandemic stuff to be over with. We're settling back into our normal lives again. Things are back. We can go to restaurants. We can start coughing in each other's people's mouths again. And then all of a sudden aliens show up. Just wait till like 2030, 2040. Just wait a little while. I don't want to know about this shit now. It's crazy. I mean, this is not shocking. There's all sorts of UFO sightings all over the damn planet these days. Anyways, do you guys want to know about it? If the aliens exist and they have an underground base on Mars, do you guys want to know about that? Like, is that something you think the public will be able to handle? No. Who do you think the Zodiac killer is? An alien? Probably not. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks everybody for this very special episode of Untitled Steve News. It's too heavy, man. It's too much going on. mfshophere.com. Before we all get subjected to slavery via our alien overlords, why don't you buy a couple of my comic books? Be cool. If you buy them now, I might be able to get them to you by Christmas. Bye, everybody.